So Bruce, why don't you just tell us a little bit about how you came to be an artist?
Sure, absolutely. Are we ready to go?
Yeah, we're ready to go.
Okay. I went to college at UC Santa Barbara, and I was born and raised just south of LA. My sister had always seemed to me incredibly talented. She could draw amazingly well, and I was always in great admiration and envy of her. I felt like my work was very crude. Well, I started the university and I spent a year as a political science major, and I decided that was not at all what I wanted to do with my life. So I became an art major, and my first ambition was I thought I could probably teach in high school. Would be a good living. Okay, you know. And slowly I got more and more response to the work and interest in the work, and I had a great teacher, a man named Howard Warshaw, who was just brilliant and talked about art as not as entertainment or decoration, but art was a really serious human endeavor, okay, serious intellectual and ethical endeavor. And that really engaged me. And then I went to graduate school, first at UCLA, and then I finished my degree at Cal State Long Beach, and I cast about for any job I could find. And I wrote all over the country, and the best offer I got, one of two, was of St. Petersburg Junior College. So the other was in Oklahoma, so the choice was easy. And we moved to St. Petersburg in '65. I began teaching there, and everything developed from there. That I started having success with my work, and I just loved the teaching. And the teaching was a huge education for me, as I realized I know so little about color and how color operated. And so I set myself problems, and my work during those years was practically all aimed at trying to teach myself the things that I hadn't been taught. And I began having some success with exhibitions and sales, and particularly with exhibitions. There was a lot of competitive exhibitions around Florida. There was a big state fair every year. And then I went out on the sidewalk circuit, and so I do Winter Park and Ocala and these different sidewalk shows, and I had a lot of success there in terms of getting prizes and all. So from there on, it just developed and flourished in terms of I kept finding. I started out doing a lot of prints, silkscreen prints when I was first teaching, and then it moved almost exclusively to painting. And my early paintings were multiple images, where I would have one image of one thing as if superimposed over another. And that went for a few years, and I was always using landscape elements in the work. And it suddenly dawned on me that maybe I just wanted to paint the landscape. And so I did a few small landscapes and thought, yes, this is what I want to do. And so that was probably the mid-'70s. From the mid-'70s for about 20 years, I was exclusively dealing with usually large-scale landscapes, oil, and a huge influence was the weather here in Florida, and the lush landscape, and all of the water, the rivers and gulfs and swamps, and those huge clouds in the summer. I think it would have been very different for me had I stayed in Los Angeles. I think that it's pretty gray and dry and overcast most of the time, and this was just a revelation, this landscape and this climate. And so my painting would be hugely different had I not come here. And to this day, I'm continuing both two threads of the purely natural stuff of dealing, and most often with edges of bodies of water, the edge of mangroves on the bay or foliage along a river. And the second thread is I've begun being very interested in doing figurative work and looking for places where there's groups of people, but groups of people that are in very ordinary, mundane surroundings. It's not some dramatic event, it's not a sporting event, it's not like a shot from the newspaper or something, but it's people just going about. I did a big painting of a backyard barbecue. I'm doing one now of this beach, and I did one of an intersection in New York, one of a group of people on the roof of the Metropolitan Museum, but just people wanting. I did one of a mall, Brandon Mall, and so that's a direction I'm really interested in. And it's a little coming full circle because most of my undergraduate education was very much based on the figure, and now I have a figure drawing group that's really influenced it. I draw once a week, and so anyway, I feel really enthused about this direction.